Welcome to Quizzing Hour. Get ready for India General Knowledge Quiz. 100 questions. Subscribe to our channel for more exciting quizzes. Let's go. What is the capital of India? New Delhi. Which river is known as Ganga of the South? Kaveri. Who was the first Prime Minister of India? Jawaharlal Nehru. Which is the national animal of India? Tiger. Which Indian city is called the Pink City? Jaipur. Which is the longest river in India? Ganga. Who wrote the Indian national anthem? Rabindranath Tagore. Which state has the largest population? Uttar Pradesh. What is the national flower of India? Lotus. Which monument is known as the symbol of love? Taj Mahal. Which is the smallest state of India by area? Goa. Who is known as the Iron Man of India? Sardar Patel. Which ocean lies to the south of India? Indian Ocean. Which is the national bird of India? Peacock. Which Indian state is famous for tea gardens? Assam. Which language has the most speakers in India? Hindi. When did India gain independence? 1947. Which is the highest civilian award in India? Bharat Ratna. Which Indian festival is known as the Festival of Lights? Diwali. Which state is known as God's own country? Kerala. Who was the first president of India? Rajendra Prasad. Which city is known as the Silicon Valley of India? Bengaluru. Which desert is located in India? Thar. Which is the national sports of India as per tradition? Hockey. Which state shares border with Pakistan? Punjab. Which Indian currency symbol is used? Which Indian leader gave the slogan "Do or Die"? Mahatma Gandhi. Which sea lies on the western coast of India? Arabian Sea. Which Indian state has the longest coastline? Gujarat. Which Indian city is famous for diamonds? Surat. Which is the largest lake of India? Chilika Lake. Which Indian state is known for Kathakali dance? Kerala. Which is the highest mountain peak in India? Kanchenjunga. Who was known as Netaji? Subhash Chandra Bose. Which Indian state is famous for Bihu festival? Assam. Which city is called the City of Joy? Kolkata. Which Indian city is known as the City of Seven Islands? Mumbai. Which state is known for sambar and dosa? Tamil Nadu. Who wrote Vande Mataram? Bankim Chandra Chatterjee. Which Indian city has the gateway of India? Mumbai. Which Indian state is the largest by area? Rajasthan. Which is the national tree of India? Banyan. Which Indian state has the most number of rivers? Assam. Who was the first woman Prime Minister of India? Indira Gandhi. Which city is known as the yoga capital of the world? Rishikesh. Which Indian festival celebrates colors? Holi. Which state is famous for Konark Sun Temple? Odisha. Which Indian state was formed in 2014? Telangana. Which is the national aquatic animal of India? Dolphin. Which Indian city is famous for leather industry? Kanpur. Which Indian state is known for backwaters? Kerala. Who designed the Indian national flag? Pingali Venkaya. Which Indian river flows westward? Narmada. Which state is famous for Bandhani saris? Gujarat. Which city is known as the Manchester of India? Ahmedabad. Which Indian state is known for Chow dance? Both A and B. Which Indian monument is the tallest brick minaret? Qutub Minar. Which state is the largest producer of rice? West Bengal. Who is called the father of the Indian Constitution? B.R. Ambedkar. Which Indian city is known as the City of Lakes? Udaipur. Which Indian state has the Hornbill Festival? Nagaland. Which Indian river is called the Kinganga? Godavari. Which Indian state is famous for apple production? Himachal Pradesh. Which Indian city is known for IT hub after Bangalore? Hyderabad. Which state is famous for Run of Kutch? Gujarat. Which Indian freedom fighter was known as Lokmanya? Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Which is the national calendar of India? Saka. Which Indian state is consistent having the highest literacy rate? Kerala. Which Indian city is famous for blue pottery? Jaipur. Which Indian river forms the Sundarban Delta? Both. Which state is famous for Pashmina shawls? Jammu and Kashmir. Which Indian city is known as the financial capital? Mumbai. Which Indian state celebrates Onam? Kerala. Who was the first woman president of India? Pratibha Patil. Which Indian fort is made of red sandstone? Red Fort. Which Indian state is known for Meenakshi Temple? Tamil Nadu. Which Indian river is sacred in Sikhism? Kali Bain. Which Indian city hosts the Kumbh Mela frequently? Prayagraj. Which Indian state has the highest number of national parks? Madhya Pradesh. Which Indian state is famous for bamboo dance? Mizoram. Which Indian city is called the Temple City? Bhubaneswar. Which Indian freedom fighter was known as Shaheed-e-Azam? Bhagat Singh. Which Indian state produces the most spices? Kerala. Which Indian city is famous for Dal Lake? Srinagar. Which Indian state has the longest railway network? Uttar Pradesh. Which Indian river flows through Delhi? Yamuna. Which Indian state is known for Garba dance? Gujarat. Which Indian city is famous for Mysore Palace? Mysuru. Which Indian city has the Silent Valley National Park? Kerala. Which Indian leader said Swaraj is my birthright? Tilak. Which Indian city is known as the City of Pearls? Hyderabad. Which Indian state is famous for Muga silk? Assam. Which Indian city is home to Bollywood? Mumbai. Which Indian state is known as the land of rising sun? Arunachal Pradesh. Which Indian monument is also called Victory Tower? Vijay Stamp. Which Indian city is famous for Charminar? Hyderabad. Which Indian state celebrates Pongal? Tamil Nadu. Which Indian state is the largest tea producer? Assam. Which Indian river is called the lifeline of Madhya Pradesh? Narmada. Which Indian state is known as the Spice Garden of India? Kerala. How many did you get? Share your scores in the comments below. Choose a new quiz challenge and make sure to like, share and subscribe.